Hello and welcome again to another episode of Binocular Insights with myself. I'm Russell from Southwest Optics, and today we have a very special guest, Toby Carter from Zeiss. Toby.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Great to have
much.
you with us.
Yes, yeah, it's good to come down. So yeah, I work for Zeiss as their business development executive for the UK on the nature side of the business.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for almost 2 years now, and prior to that I'd been an brand ambassador for Zeiss for almost 3 years around COVID times. So I got to know their products very well over the years and been a birder all my life. I love my binoculars and telescopes anyway.
Yeah, and you've recently seen some spectacular views and night gyros
Yes,
as
it's
well.
been pretty good, pretty tasty.
Yeah, some wonderful pictures. Maybe we can share some of those.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great. So Toby, can I ask you a little bit about how you would describe Zeiss's general design ethos or approach to optics?
Their approach to optics is sort of all about innovation. But I think more importantly with Zeiss, as we discussed earlier behind the camera, is the heritage of Zeiss is a massive thing. 176-year-old company. It's split into the microscopes, the camera lenses, your microchips. There's all cinematography, planetariums. I could keep going.
Yeah.
So I've just come back from Germany recently, actually. So we've got to see the different parts of the business that we wouldn't normally. But Zeiss is involved in everyone's business at some stage of the day. We've all got mobile phones. Most of the microchips have had Zeiss technology used on them. Those who've got glasses might have Zeiss lenses in their glasses. If you've ever had a medical operation, you've probably had a Zeiss medical equipment used on you. Like it goes hand in hand. So Zeiss is always there, and with the ethos, it's that constant innovation, trying to bring everything to that next level and be at the top of the game when they do.
Very interesting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thinking about some of our customers and the different age range which we support, what would you suggest may be a good approach for helping people with taking the weight off of their neck using binoculars?
Yeah, I mean that is a growing thing. People obviously want lighter binoculars in general, but if they want to get the weight off their neck, then we do have an AirCell extra comfort strap that goes on your neck, but it gives you an extra bit of comfort. But then we do have a binocular harness that again goes around your chest, and the binoculars just hang. And that takes all the weight off your neck and it's on your chest and you don't feel the weight then. That's the way forward to go with that.
Yeah, it's surprising how much it just spreads it across the whole torso and it really reduces any bounce as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you can adjust how low the binoculars are hanging. I mean, same as a normal binocular strap, people always like to vary. Do they want them high up in the chest or do they want them hanging off the belly?
Yeah, I've been amazed at how much it makes you feel like you almost aren't carrying them and the amount of movement, especially on a hike.
Yeah, or even if you're abroad. So, I mean, we were saying earlier that I'm going to Romania soon, and normally I would have my binoculars on a strap around my neck, but because I know I'm going to Romania for birding, and I'm going to be birding all the time, I'm going to bring a harness and just have it on a harness.
Yeah, nice approach, really smart. And then maybe thinking about the other end of the age spectrum, youngsters and children, what Zeiss products would you recommend for maybe youngest end of the scale and youngsters growing up?
That would be our Terters. So our Terters are our entry-level premium binoculars, and that's we have a pockets and a 25mm objective, and then you go into a 32 and a 42mm objective as you go through the Terter range, and that's all in an 8 and a 10 times piece, and that'd be where you'd market towards those younger people.
Yeah, great, and they're really quite lightweight as well, aren't they?
That's the main thing. Yeah, lightweight in ED glass, which is what people want at that level. So excellent.
Yeah, reduces all the flare. Yeah.
Good grip on them as well, so they're a bit more robust as well.
Yeah, they're really tough. They're built really well, aren't they? Yeah, great product. So, Toby, tell us a little bit more about how you strike the right balance when it comes to travelling with weight to performance, and how do you approach that?
It is a harder thing that you need to get the hang of, but it's what people are wanting these days. Is they want to reduce that weight but keep that optical quality. And when I say that phrase, the first thing that comes into mind within Zeiss Optics is our SFLs. Smart focus, which is what our SFs are at the top range, and the L stands for lightweight. The 40s being 640 grams and the 30s being 460 grams. I mean, and the close focusing on them, they're such a lightweight optic that really pack a punch with their optical quality. And then our scope side, with the two variations we've got, the Gavia and the Harpia. The Gavia is a more compact scope for travelling. But if you are going abroad, obviously you want to be looking for a lightweight tripod, and there are other factors as well. But especially for binoculars, the SFL30, if you wanted something really lightweight that you can travel, they're basically the size of a pocket binocular as they are anyway. So they fit nicely in anywhere, especially if you're travelling abroad.
Yeah, and they're physically not huge either, are they? I mean, they really punch above their weight, not just performance, but for weight as well.
Yeah, in the 8 and 10 times variation.
Yeah. So with that in mind, could I ask you what your go-to optics might be?
So my go-to is the SF. It's a 10-42. I've always preferred the 10 times purely because when I'm out, where I'm out birding is more open areas. So I need that extra bit of magnification. And I enjoy the 42, a bit of a wider objective. I can get that light in. So we were talking about night jars, when I go out looking for night jars, a 42 gives me that extra bit of light that a 30 or a 32 wouldn't give. And that 10 times, for me, the field of view isn't as important. That's why I have a 10 times. Birds are always moving. Whatever you're watching is always moving. You move with it. So the 10 times for me is perfect. And with the SFs, having the ergo balance and how the lenses are put inside the binocular, it's nice and balanced. You don't feel the weight of the binocular. So.
Yeah, and don't you find that with the 42 objective, the amount of light that you're gathering, even from very early to late, you're kind of covered?
I've never once thought, I need a bit more light. So it does the job perfectly for me. And like I say, with the focus wheel, nice and smooth, it's fantastic binocular.
Yeah. So with all the experience you've got from all the kit and gear you've used, what kind of products would you like to see modified, or what have you enjoyed that's been modified in recent times?
I mean, I used to have a DSLR camera when I first started. So
right.
I have been birding since I was 5 or 6, I'm 24 now. But when I really started to get into it, I had a Canon 600D. But then when I started getting smartphones, I started taking more photos on them. But for about 3 or 4 years, was doing it all handheld, which was good practice for where I'm at now. But I really wanted to get a case and go down that side of things, and that's where you're starting to see more cases online for phone scoping. And we were talking about the night jars, and we'll show photos at the end of this clip of some night jars that I took on my phone with a 3-second night exposure at 10:30 at night, and the photos, when you saw how crisp and clear.
Yeah, it was like night jars in the day.
Yeah, and there was no flash. I mean, it looks like it. There's nothing like that used on these photos. But it saves me having to bring a camera out with me. And obviously you can plonk that onto your scope, you've all got a phone with you, and you have that zoom capability on your scope. I mean, I use it on the Harpy and I absolutely adore it. With that geared focus system, it works really well. Obviously the downside, birds in flight or anything in flight, that's where your point and shoot DSLR mirrorless cameras will come into their own. But 9 times out of 10, especially if I'm on a twitch to see a rare bird, you normally get a better photo than the guys with a big camera lens. So no, I do enjoy using it.
Yeah, so much power in the system.
Oh, it really is.
One of the things I really liked about the Harpy and the Gavia is that the eyepiece is actually quite compact as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Because the zoom is in the objective part of the system.
Especially on the zoom in the eye is in the eyepiece for the Gavia, but in the Harpy everything's in the body of the scope. And for phone scoping, obviously you will have something that will sit on the eyepiece, and the Harpy hasn't got a lot of rubber. So there's not much friction. Once you stick it on, bang, you're ready to go. You haven't got to play around with it a little bit. As soon as it's on, you're ready to go. And no vignetting around the outside, as you saw. And yeah, fantastic scope for digiscoping.
Yeah, it's truly spectacular. Yeah. So Toby, one of the things that a lot of users perhaps overlook when they're maybe choosing a new optic is the space between your pupils, the IPD, into pupilary distance. For picking something that fits, always think of it like a well-fitting pair of shoes.
Yes.
What would you recommend for customers that maybe need a narrower IPD?
Firstly, go and actually try the binoculars out yourself. Don't get me wrong, buying online is very useful for a lot of people who can't get out and don't have the free time. But if you actually go out and try and come to your store and come and look at the binoculars, you can see a range and you can test and try them out all in person. That'd be my main thing. The SFLs, I've already spoken about them, but they've got a great interpupillary distance. And that'd be my way forward within the Zeiss range to go for them, especially the SFL30s. But it all, like I say, it all depends on your eyes. It's all very subjective. Everyone's eyes are different. Neither of us have glasses. There are those that do have glasses, and I mean a general rule of thumb when it comes to eye cups, if you don't wear glasses, is you have your eye cups out. When I'm birding, I have my eye cups in, and I rest them on top of my eyebrows for the pure reason that I can see out the sides. And I tell other people that, and they don't get on with that because everyone's eyes are different. So I can tell you one thing, but you might not personally get on with it. But the best way to do anything about that is to go and try the binoculars in person and come to your store.
Couldn't agree more. And sometimes it's just practicing and persisting a little bit with a new technique.
Exactly.
And it really produces great results when you become a master it as well. You get that wider field of view a little bit, don't you? As well?
Yeah, let's say you just see your peripheral vision as well.
See what's coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Move accordingly. Yeah, track it. Yeah, really smart. And we were talking earlier as well about some of the unique qualities in the scope range that really are just pertinent to Zeiss. Tell us a little bit about some of those cool qualities.
I've used a Harpier especially for 5 or 6 years now, and I can bang on about that all day long. I love that scope. So firstly, a geared focus wheel. You see a number of scopes these days have 2 focus wheels, one for more general focusing and one with a finer focus. The Harpier has that all built into one wheel with a gear inside, and you just have to twist it and you feel it change. So if you're sea watching, or I use it most when I'm digiscoping, it's so useful to almost bring the subject out of focus altogether and then go back in with that sharper, finer focus that allows you to do that. But when we're talking even about zooming, is the fact that within the Harpier, yes, it's got a fantastically wide field of view, but it has a fantastically wide field of view at the minimum and at the maximum. There's no barreling. You keep a nice wide field of view as you're zooming in on your subject. And depending on if you have the 85 or the 95, you're starting off at about a 22 times magnification, and you're going up to a 65, 70 times magnification. And you're keeping that nice wide field of view as you go through the motion. And the object doesn't get that dark. I mean, obviously, physics, it's going to get darker as you zoom in more. But with the Harpier, you don't get that barreling effect. And you haven't got to focus much when you do zoom in. And that's all credit to that focus system.
Yeah, that's something that really surprised me. The depth of field is so forgiving, even throughout the zoom range, whilst keeping the width. It's fantastic across the estuary or open places. Oh. You spot a bit in the reeds, you're not sure if it's that, and you can move in and out, just pan easily. It's such a flexible system.
It really is. And obviously that is our more high-end option. And then you've got the Gabia, which is the lower end. And then with that you've got a more compact scope from a 30 to a 60 times zoom. It's more of an all-round, everyday scope. And yes, your zoom's in the eyepiece, but for a more all-round scope, Gabia is perfect for that.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen some of Simon King's video footage shot through the Harpier, and it's just, the fidelity is the best out there.
It really is.
Yeah, for scope viewing, it's stunning. And perhaps, Toby, would you be able to offer any advice to our listeners that are watching as well today, maybe about general advice or something that people never really ask enough about that you think they should do?
I think something that I'm seeing more and more is obviously people are buying high-end scopes and they're spending all that money on high-end scopes, but the tripod is a real issue. And they'll only spend 50 to 100 quid on a tripod, when if you just go a little bit further, you're going to get that perfect use out of it. There's nothing worse than having a 3.5, 4 grand scope on a 50 quid tripod in the wind like it is outside at the moment. You don't get the user experience out of it. If you have a nice sturdy tripod, you're going to be able to use that for all times of day. And we've got a Zeiss tripod that does that perfectly. I use that. I've got my own personal tripods as well, and depending on what environment you're in, and it's so useful to have the tripods. Yeah, stability and longevity. It really is. And I think another one that people probably don't ask is when it comes to cleaning your optics. Yeah. So we've got our Zeiss wipes. Everyone loves our little pocket Zeiss wipes that you can just keep with you all the time. But having them, but not cleaning your optics too often. The number of times people will clean their optics almost once a week. Yes, if you're on a boat and you've got sea spray on it, fair enough. But a general rule of thumb, I'd say 3 months, you don't even need to clean them. Anything more than that, and you will eventually start to abrade off some of those coatings on the front of it. So you just don't want that. Yeah, don't be overly conscientious. No. At the same time, don't neglect it and go the other way. Yeah. It's finding that balance. Yeah, just keep them clean. Yeah. As needed. Exactly. And nothing more. Yeah. Well, Toby, thank you so much for today's interview. It's great to spend time with you. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and come and visit us at Southwest Optics.